Hi guys, Lindsay here with Storybrook Family Farm. So this past weekend was actually quite productive for us. Tracy spent most of the weekend actually in the kitchen working on canning up a whole bunch of our homemade dog food. Normally, we used to always can it, um, and then we kind of got lazy, so we started just freezing it because it was much faster to just freeze it. But then you got the big pain in the butt of, oh crap, I forgot to get out dog food, and now it needs to thaw. Um, so that was always kind of a bummer, but it made it nice and convenient to just be able to just, pop it in the freezer and stuff. But we decided that since it's been deer season, that we should actually, instead of freezing it, because we are limited on freezer space, um, we decided that we would actually can it. We did not realize that there was going to be quite as much as there actually is. So Tracy had canned over the weekend 28 quarts. So our pressure canner can only hold 7 quarts at a time. So that's a lot of trips through the canner. So anything that has meat in it actually has to be pressure canned for an hour and a half before it can then work on depressurizing, which can take half hour, 45 minutes, and stuff. So it's a very time consuming and lengthy process, but it does make it really nice because then it's ultra convenient because then you don't have to take up freezer space. You can just set it anywhere, like in the basement, in the rest of the house, wherever. It makes having foods that are canned make it so much simpler in terms of storage because you're not limited to just one freezer space or having to make sure you have enough electricity and all that stuff. Like, it's just much simpler. And then also, if you run into the woes of, oh crap, I forgot to get out more dog food and the dogs are hungry now and stuff, you can just easily just pop open a jar and then it's instantly ready. Whereas the frozen stuff, you have to put it in the microwave for a while to thaw it out. It's just much more convenient to have it canned, but it is more work on the front end of everything. But so I have the last 7 jars actually working on depressurizing now in the canner. But so she got that accomplished. Friday, I actually started working on painting the stairwell to go upstairs, and then also the little, like, it's not little, but it's like the size of a bedroom, but it's a really oversized landing up there. So I did get the first coat of paint, the first coat of blue on the walls. And once I'm done filming this, I'm actually going to work on doing some of the wainscoting, painting that white, just to see how it looks, because I'm not sure if I want to do it all blue or actually just do the wainscoting white. I haven't decided yet. But so the other thing that we had done was we actually, this weekend it warmed up a good bit. I also went out hunting all weekend too because it was gun season and I did not get a deer, which is pretty disappointing. And the weather for gun season in Ohio this year, at least for our area, it was terrible. Like the beginning of the week, the real fills were in single digits for most of the first 2 days. And then we also had a couple days where it rained really bad. And yesterday it was so windy in the woods that I was like terrified to move because I was afraid that a tree was going to fall down on me. It was insane. Like, I'm like, this is like the worst weather for deer hunting ever. So I do plan on going out this week with my bow to try to get something. Comically, I did get a squirrel yesterday with my bow, and then Tracy used a 22 and got herself a squirrel as well. So it was kind of neat that in between deer hunts, I was able to get a squirrel and Tracy was able to get a squirrel. So I did butcher 2 squirrels. So that's always nice to have in the freezer, to have some sort of difference in meat and stuff. We like to have a lot of variety in our diet here. And I texted my dad about it and stuff because I'd been hunting with him and neither of us got any deer. But so I texted my dad about the squirrels and he's like, well, Linz, 50 squirrels equals a deer. And Lynn Tracy, she's always real quick to quit back with stuff like that. And she said to me, she's like, well, 50 squirrels are pretty easy to get. And I'm like, yeah, kind of are and stuff. But so she's planning on doing some more squirrel hunting from the porch. We do have 2 walnut trees that are right next to the house. So the squirrels keep running up and grabbing nuts and stuff like that are already on the ground or that already are smushed into the driveway. So it does make it kind of easy to get squirrels. But even back further in the woods, like these pines here, they're not on our property, but they extend back pretty far. A lot of squirrels, they nest in the pines and they come down into our yard to get food and also just to run around and stuff. So it is abundant here with squirrels. But so the other thing that we got done this weekend, it's kind of chilly out, but especially after the last 2 days. The last 2 days it was like in the 50s, so it was nice because we didn't have to worry about having a fire going or anything like that because we could use the mini split. So today, since it's only upper 30s, it's pretty chilly. But so the other thing that we did was we actually got the barn cleaned out on Saturday. We were going to wait until it was like further into winter to do that, But since it had heated up, we had the time, we had the availability. Willie was home, so we had him help us too. So that way, we could all take turns with running the stuff back and forth. The barn is not that far from the garden, but it is kind of cumbersome. It is right back there. You have to like weave around the piles of stuff that are in the way and the rabbit tractors. And then with how muddy everything has been, it's just it's a chore just to walk back there because you're just like slip sliding away the whole time. But so we did clean out the chicken side of the barn. We were working on cleaning out the goat side to get it deep cleaned, and then the pitchfork broke. So we'll have to get a new pitchfork before we can do more. It was the handle, not any of the tines. So it's really not that big of a deal to fix that. But so I did go ahead and I spread the manure and the spent hay. So what we do first is the goats get the hay to eat. They make a big mess. Goats are incredibly wasteful with hay. So they use the hay then as their bedding. Then they do goat things on it, like, pee and poop. And then that stuff ends up cycling out into the chicken area for the chickens to have as bedding. For the current time being, we actually have our ducks and our geese also housed with the chickens because we don't have, at this present moment, we don't have another space to put them in, which I will this winter be working on building them a coop. But so they end up making it very wet, very gross, very poopy, the hay and stuff. Like, it becomes a very big mess very quickly in there. So the chicken coop side of the barn, we have to clean that out like once a month and stuff, even with trying to do deep litter methods, because the ducks and the geese, they just make such a mess in there. It just becomes really heavy, really thick, and it gets gross. If you know anything about composting, it creates an anaerobic system, which makes it very smelly in there as it's working on breaking everything down into like a slime, because there's not enough airflow that gets through. But and it also kind of stinks really bad, like an ammonia-y smell. That's once it got warm, that's what we noticed, and that's why it's like, let's clean the barn. But so because we have a good solid, like, I don't know, 5 months or so before we're going to be planting anything in here, it's plenty of time for all of this to break down. So it's kind of nice now because you guys can easily see the rows that are in the garden. So over in here was where we had all the tomatoes along the edge here. And then right here, this bed here was for the sweet peppers. And then we have a bed right there that housed more cherry tomatoes because this year we kept being given tomato plants. So we were running out of room for other stuff to plant, but we just kept shoving in tomato plants everywhere. But so we had this center strip here that was connected to the sweet peppers. That had tomatoes in it, and then there's a strip that goes like that way over there. That was where the hot peppers were. We do plan on planting everything in the garden again in the same places as we did last year. Tomatoes and peppers don't mind being planted in the same place year after year after year, which is kind of nice for garden planting. But yeah, so and tomatoes also like ash, so that's where we're putting our ashes from the wood burner. Is actually around where the tomatoes are going to go. And we had read that it also will help with preventing slugs. So, and that was our biggest problem in the garden this year was for the tomatoes. We had so many slugs. It was insanity, which I know that we could let the ducks in here right now to try to like kill some of the stuff, but we have things still growing. So what we have growing still, we do like leeks, and Tracy got a really good deal on some leeks that were already started. It was like an end of season clearance for plants. So it's just gonna, on camera, it's gonna look like grass, but this whole bed here is lined with leeks. So we have probably a couple hundred leeks that are gonna be able to be overwintered. I am getting really cold. I did not realize it was this cold out until I started filming. So this video is not gonna be very long because I am freezing. But so we also have kale that is doing remarkably well despite having such cold temperatures recently. So that'll end up growing all winter long. And if we were to let the ducks and the geese in here, all of the kale, all of the leeks, all of the grass, all of the everything would be gone. It is really cold. The ducks and the geese are really good about cleaning up all of the grass and any tasty bit that they think they might have found, which has left their paddock area, even though we've tried to rotationally graze them, it has left that area nothing but a ginormous mud pit. So it's been extra sketchy trying to walk around there. But I need to go inside because I am like frozen. I'm to the point of like shivering. My hands are numb. So video ends here. Alright, so if you're enjoying our content, please give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends on social media, and if you haven't already, please subscribe to help us grow. We'd greatly appreciate it. Alright, thanks for watching. Have a good one, guys.